Hey everybody. All right. So, things are going to be a little different today. Hey Angie, how are you? So, I finished all the projects I had. So now I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do, and I want to do something big. I haven't done anything big since I did the Batmobile. I did the Tumbler. That was my wife had got it back in like 2015. So I want to do something big again. So I decided, well, let's see here. I'm gonna build this, the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, yeah, little thing about it is before we get started, just because I noticed I wasn't really doing unboxing, it was more so just hanging out and just building, right? So, I was just gonna say, like, there's a lot of information on Nintendo, so I was gonna give a little. I was just gonna talk about it, I guess. So, one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that Nintendo actually started off as a card game or a card manufacturer. That's what they did. It was they started in 1889 in September. It was made by, let's see, Fujijiro Yamauchi in Shimagoya, Kyoto, Japan. And this happened until 1929, and it was amazing. And then they went on to go on and expand into electronics and things like that. But some of the cool facts that haven't happened. My screen is going weird. Just let me know if everything's okay, guys. But so there are some crazy facts. Why is my screen blinking? 1 second, guys. Are you guys seeing a blinking? That's very weird. Anyways, I don't know what the hell's going on. So, basically, it's just some crazy information that happened with regards to Nintendo. Some of the things throughout history, like one of the things was that, they knew what they had was great, so they went on to build it and do some crazy stuff with regards to video games. Even so, they structured no blinking here. So it's just on my end, Andy. God damn it. I don't even know why it's happening. Anyways, so ultimately, I just found some history stuff. So some of the things like their former building that is in Kyoto is now a hotel you can stay out. It is gorgeous. My wife was like, we should go. The problem is I don't really fit in. What is happening with my screen? Sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't really fit in Japan. So maybe someday. That's one cool thing. Also, too, there are a whole bunch of rare Nintendos you can buy. So one of the coolest ones here, I'm going to share some of these screens. These here. So these are some of the rarest Nintendos you can buy. So there was the Nintendo PlayStation, which ended up being essentially you could use with a CD. I thought that was wild. There's an MTV version. This one, the Panasonic Q, was the blinking has stopped, so that's always good. Was like a CD player and a home theater and everything, as well as the GameCube. This apparently, I remember these shapes, but I don't know what Mother 3 was. But apparently, these are like $2,000. So, yeah. Hey, honey. Then the Wii Supreme looked gold. Animal Crossing. I think this is new. I didn't think this was old, but apparently that's a thing. Game Boys, Mini. That looks like a Tamagotchi. That what people used to have. Then apparently there's a red version of the Nintendo 64, Watermelon Red, which I didn't realize that existed. I had a Sega Genesis. Okay, it's not the same. The Hyundai Comboy, which is what the Nintendo 64 actually was released as in Korea. Pokemon versions. This was the original, the Hong Kong edition Famicom computer. This was what they actually made originally, and this is what changed everything. They need to make a gold Nintendo Switch. I would buy. Of course, you'd buy it. Oh God! And then, of course, you could win a Game Boy that was in 24K, which was awesome. But this is here. This is the hotel where they originally. So this is where Nintendo started in Kyoto, and now it's a hotel, which it looks awesome. Like you just very old school, a lot of stone, a lot of. It's a very cool thing. Which I'm like, hey, we can definitely go. As I said, I won't fit, but it'll be fun. There's also, I found there's a video from Nintendo that has Mario's history. I would encourage everyone to watch it. It is, here, you know what I'll do is I will put it in the post there. And that that way. There you go. Because that video is really cool. It kind of shows how it's happened throughout the years. But yeah, so this was the original Nintendo, which we are going to be building. It's going to be very exciting. And they went on to one of the big things was that in 1983 there was a whole collapse, and it was because of copyright laws and things that hadn't existed up until then. Even the gun originally that was for Duck Hunt, which I was great with Duck Hunt, was actually looked like a real gun. They had to change it because specifically for the States, who would have thought making something look like a gun would be an issue? I don't know. Then it actually stopped. It only stopped being manufactured. This is the Famicom was in 2003 in Japan that was being sold. So like this thing did, and the cool thing was, so you see how this actual disc has a little different shape than normal, right? In actuality, it was used so that as far as it went in to the thing, yeah, okay, dude, Duck Hunt was awesome. Here's a question for you, dude. How far away from the screen would you stand? Because I would be right up there as a kid and be bam, 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 bam. Anyways, so the actual Famicom computer, the way it protected region and stuff, instead of using electronics, those little tabs right there at the end of the actual disc would push in a specific button that would allow it to be used. So it was a really weird thing that hadn't existed. Oh, Angie saying hi to everybody. Thanks, Angie. Also, too, so ColecoVision was before that, but one of the big things is that they were saying how in the beginning of video games and that kind of technology, people would borrow from each other because obviously copyright laws weren't really intact. Copyright laws are still screwing people over today. Such things as, well, Instagram, TikTok essentially takes advantage of a lot of people by taking their work and spreading around. They pay a minimal amount, and that's how things. Obviously, artists all know this kind of stuff. The same reason why a lot of art has been used with regards to money laundering, because it's manipulated, and who doesn't want to be famous and all that kind of stuff, right? It's frustrating because all you want to do is art. But oh yeah, what's in the screen? Yeah, well, hey, that's fair. Then apparently the weird edition. So I remember that Nintendo had all sorts of cool stuff, but it was expensive. So this, apparently the firing thing, you could say fire and it would shoot. There are all sorts of other attachments that you could buy. But this was one of the things, was like there was a limitation as to how many the use of characters, other people using the characters for games that were for Nintendo. All sorts of things were being conditioned that didn't really exist. And that was one of the reasons why a lot of game makers died off in the early 80s, was specifically because they couldn't hold on to their product. And even still, like one of the things, this is hilarious because I used to have an Xbox and I still have a PlayStation. I don't really play, but the blinking light of death, we've all heard about that, especially for an Xbox, was the red ring of death. Whereas with a Nintendo, just blowing it, it'll be fine. So that's how it worked. Let's see. Oh yeah, limitations. Remember, so this is one of those things. Hey, Serge, what's happening, buddy? How you doing today? So one of the cool things that you see with regards to video games was that there are limitations. Remember, back in the day, there would have to been an entire mold and production line set up just to make the cartridges specific, right? So one of the conditions was that they couldn't, if you were a third party making video games for Nintendo, your cartridges had to be a different shape and different color. And that's covered later on in this article. And it kind of explains that it was a whole big thing for them to kind of streamline everything to make sure that if you were buying a Nintendo product, you were getting a Nintendo product. Whereas if you were buying third party, that's who they wouldn't necessarily, I guess, primarily support in the function and everything. Hey, what's happening, Chris? So I'm going to start building this. Chris, this is what I'm doing. Here, I'll do my screen. So I'm going to be building Nintendo. So what I'm doing is I'm giving a little lesson on what Nintendo used to be. I know it's different, but I'm just trying to do something a little short instead of just opening and I want to show my pretty face. That's the whole thing. So yeah, so the cool thing is that it was a whole history of the Famicom system and then the Nintendo Entertainment System that changed everything. I'm gonna get to the Lego building. Don't worry, everyone. Fine. I want to know if anyone remembers Game Genie. Okay, it's where you could plug in you plug it into your system, and then you plug in the game into the Game Genie, and then it would do all sorts of crazy stuff. So you could like take Mario and jump like 4 levels. You could always fly. You could always have the raccoon tail and all sorts of stuff. There, everybody's in the chat. Welcome. Then there were things like Nintendo Power this was a magazine specifically created so that essentially people could get to know the community, the games, the play, the reviews, and everything in advance of buying a system. Because remember, you couldn't just buy another system. There are people who have like 9 systems right now, and they're like, oh yeah, I've every system since the 90s. You're like, yeah, okay, that's insane, right? That wasn't a thing that existed. People bought hammers and made steel. So in this, so with the supply chain issues that people have been talking about for the longest time, this is a thing that existed throughout history. Essentially, it took time to manufacture things. Things were always different. It was a new product, new line, new creation. All that had to happen with the estimation or the approximation of how much would sell. So if you... I could definitely... Yeah, me too, Chris. That's totally fair. But that's the whole idea, right? So you had to estimate how much product you need for an international market that was untried, untested, and who knew if the game was going to be successful. And remember, you're following a huge crash in the market, right? It was 1983 with regards to video games. So remember, there was Sears and all sorts of crazy people were trying to make video games because apparently video games were the next thing, right? So you had situations where you had games like this where it took an extra year for it to get to the States and actually be available. Even now, PS5 is still hard to get in a lot of places throughout North America. Oh, let's see. Oh, apparently this was a thing. Mario wasn't supposed to leave the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, it was supposed to live and die with the NES, which, that's surprising. Thank God it didn't. These are the different games. Oh, I loved Pac-Man, Chris. Oh, I could play Pac-Man for hours. And just... Oh, absolutely. But, so, these are the different cases, as I said. So, there was the gray ones. That was a standard production from thing. But then also, you'd have the same games that were manufactured by other manufacturers and would show up in a different color, wouldn't necessarily have instructions. That's how things worked back then, right? Okay, this shit. So, when... okay. I think we've all heard of the antitrust stuff that's happened with all sorts of companies. You can get PS5, just nobody would. Also, well, I remember my brother. He had an accident. We had a machine shop growing up, so he had an accident, and the tip of his finger came off. He was in the hospital. It was a whole big thing. So, as a gift, one of my brothers was like, "You know what we're gonna do? The new thing. This would have been like 91, maybe. We got Game Boys. He got 2 Game Boys." Technically, it was one for me, one for my other brother, because we're only 2 years apart, but we're younger, and then there's an older group that essentially were born. So, all still same family, same parents, everything, just time delayed. So what happens is we got them. They were $100, which was insane amount of money. Everyone became an expert at Super Mario, Tetris, and Alleyway. Those were the 3 games. Then Kirby. Nemesis, I think was the game. It was with it was like Contra kind of things. If you knew the game pattern, you could play Pac. Oh yeah, and 1 quarter, baby. See, that was the thing is, if you knew that. Okay, this goes on. This is the best part about this, Chris, is that it goes on to explain how like there was a huge antitrust thing because developers weren't allowed to work for other companies. That happened all the time. Donkey Kong, I sucked at Donkey Kong. 100% was horrible. Also, too, the buttons originally created by Nintendo are still to this day the same specifications for a lot of buttons used across the board. It was just never patented. The guy who made them, let's see, what is his name? Masayuki Omura. He was the one who designed it, never patented it. Nintendo never patented it, so everybody uses it. And they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Also, remember, Nintendo was the first one to go to the little D-pad case, right? All I can think of is Adam Sandler's video game movie. Oh, well, Pixels, absolutely. I'm going to be up at $2 for a fundraiser. So, oh, thanks, Joey. Really appreciate it. How did camping go overnight? PlayStation 6 was announced a year ago. That's awesome. So, yeah. They came out with another controller because remember it was the D-pad for the longest time, never changed. So this was the closest thing that came out, and with a joystick again, had the turbo buttons. I love turbo buttons, and everyone hated me using turbo buttons. Oh, apparently there's a game called Devil World that was one of the premier things. There you go, Joey. Welcome to the land of old people. It's got air mattresses and massage, my friend. That's what you would do. So, Devil World, I want to play this game because apparently it's awesome. Oh, yeah. Pong. Oh, I ruined a few people. You know what? So, a friend had an Atari and they always like playing Q*bert. I never even understood. To this day, I don't know how to play Q*bert. I don't know and I don't want to know. It looked weird and that thing freaked me out. Didn't like it. But Pong. Ooh, I ruined some. You know what? So I was, my oldest brother's 12 years older, then 10 years older, then a sister 8 years older, and then my brother's 2 years older. So 10 years difference. So they'd bring me to their friend's house and we would play video games and I would smoke their older friends. They're like, fuck man, it's my system, don't beat me on my system. That's how shit was. Devil World looks like Pac-Man. Well, hopefully it's Pac-Man, but you know, with more murder, which you can't go wrong with that, Victoria. Oh, apparently, so there is a character in here that was not licensed, and that is Mario. He was not licensed to be the referee. Also, this was the Famicom where they just explained it's the family computer. That was how it was in Japan. That was how it was originally. Here you have controllers. Put it in. This is the disk drive. This is the disk drive. This is the actual computer. This is the disk drive where you put the. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you. They were the ones who put a sound card in one of the first systems, which, damn. Screens. I remember this happened in Sega too, was the screens would suddenly move sideways, but they're like, hey, we didn't know the system could do that. So that was where it came out for like, I think it was F-Zero. Yeah, F-Zero was the first game that came out because they didn't realize that the system could actually do that. The original Duck Hunt right here with the holster and everything. A lot of people use that. Wireless controllers, which, listen, wireless stuff is not a pain in the ass, but it is the worst, right? Because there's always issues. But apparently, Nintendo had a wireless system. Then, of course, 3D. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it that they were the first ones to bring out 3D? So, without further ado, let me just do. Let's see here. We have some instructions. So, Nintendo Entertainment System launched in the US in 1985. It set the foundation for the current video game industry in the West and introduced millions of players to the compelling world like Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and more. And now held in high esteem by gamers all over the world, it's still the control deck that puts everything into place. So, let's open it up. Oh, let's see. Let's go this side. It's too big for my desk, everyone. I know. Luckily, I'm humongous. So, there we go. Space. Oh, see, I didn't play Space Invaders. I played Alleyway. So Alleyway was like. See, I found I wasn't good enough for Space Invaders, and other people would beat me, and I couldn't last long because I didn't know about the things, right? So eventually it did, though, and that's what matters. Okay, there's apparently a fucking box in here. God damn it. Okay, that's box number 1. The fuck is in this box? All right, well, Tank Battle. Never played Tank Battle. Space Invaders was fun though. Is Tank Battle just the one to the two sides? Is that? Yeah. For some reason, there are two boxes. There's a box inside the box, as well as more Lego. So I don't know what this is. I believe this is just Lego. I believe I have to start here. Okay, there, here. Okay, and a wire. Let's see. Whew. Okay, so this box is actually the first part. So we have, see, the tray. Very exciting. Then, okay, so we have number 1, 7. So this goes 1 to 7, and these are for the Nintendo and stuff, I believe. So, of course, there's this, which has a sticker. I love stickers. Anyways, so I'm gonna get started on this. I guess I'll start building today. I will book another thing for 7 or for later this afternoon, and I'll be back on. And we'll talk more about Nintendo because it's awesome. It's gonna be so much fun. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back at 4, and we'll start building this insane project. Thanks for watching. Bye.